All right, welcome in. Got some others here. Ari, Janine, Johns, welcome. We're gonna do our Power Hour stream. If any of you guys have questions on flow or charts, or you want anything to look up, otherwise we're just gonna kind of look at the flow and just recap the day, look at flow as it comes in. But a lot of flow here, and I need to hide this because don't need my email popping up for everybody. So we'll get started here, and we're still seeing a lot of put flow come in here. I'm just cautious about posting put flow here. I mean, you're down 2% on the day. There's going to be a lot of people chasing puts, and a lot can happen over the weekend, so I'm just kind of holding off on a lot of put flow right now, just to be cautious, obviously, especially on something like, where was, there's some AMD, there's like, and it's a lot of multi-leg stuff here too. But I mean, like Baba and stuff. I mean, you're seeing puts are already down 8%. Very hard, and especially 12% out of the money. I do still have a long-term bias downtrend, but when you're falling this hard in a day and this fast in a day, I mean, from our kind of stagnant open here, you're down already 2.29% from that high of the day almost. It's hard to chase puts down there, and if the market continues to run after or into Monday, Tuesday, so be it. We made a good amount of money on the SPY puts. I got hurt on these stupid micro strategies. That flow looked very, very good yesterday, and then I grabbed some of those and just getting hurt now. And that thing was just chopping in that range all day too. I took some of those, and I mean, I was hoping we were going to break that high, but then obviously the headlines just dropped us. I mean, we tested that high 3 times. I was waiting for a fourth, and then just down we go. But you see a lot of red across the board here. So, I mean, chasing the stuff that's down, you don't want to do it. I mean, not going to say 100%, but could see a small little bounce back Monday or a flatter day on Monday, especially after a beating like this. I didn't even see what we were at for volume. 114. Yeah, I mean, this is the biggest volume day probably in the last since August 1st, our biggest volume day. So probably going to see a little lighter volume on Monday, especially with us getting CPI next week. BLS is actually still going to release that, even though government's still shut down. But yeah, and earnings start next week. Where's my calendar here? I know financials are starting to come in on Tuesday, I believe. I updated everything a little earlier this morning, but let's see. So next week, yeah, I mean, you're coming into a heavy earnings season. I mean, financials always up first, obviously. I mean, JPM, Johnson & Johnson, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, and United Airlines more. I mean, it's heavy financial next week, so just be cautious. I mean, earnings are going to move the market. But let's kind of look at some of this flow that's been coming in. And you're seeing a lot of wider spreads too, obviously. With IV up and everybody wanting puts, you're going to see a little wider bid ask there. But we can look at some of this flow here. And I mean, 98 days out, you're 10% out of the money, you're down 5.44% on the day. You just have to, I always tell myself I got to take the foot off the gas and just be patient, because a lot of this flow you would probably be able to get a discounted entry on if you really still like that flow. But let's take a peek at some of the stuff we have. See, so yeah, I don't have any flow to go off of from the beginning here, so I don't get to see how that IV reacts. But my guess, they are probably buys on here. So actually, I'm just kind of looking at that flow that's coming in after here. So decent premium here, and that spread is so mixed up and messed up where you're not going to probably want to even kind of go over something like that. These almost may be sells at the ask. Hard to know when you got to sit and kind of do surgery on the flow. I just pass on something like that. But I heard a ding. Let's see where that came in. Multi-leg. So some Visa puts. Obviously, weeklies, you're going to have theta over the weekend. I tend to avoid posting the heavy theta moves over the weekend. I mean, Visa here, you're coming in at the ask, smaller size. Take a peek at it. You're 2% out of the money. A little higher multi-leg. I tend to not want something when it gets a little closer to 10%. Still under that 10%, but let's see what we got. So like these, I would read them as a buy because you see how that IV spikes when that flow comes in. Again, wider bid-ask spread. But you see how that IV stays up that entire time. Let's see that flow after. So more than likely, 2803, yeah, I would make a very strong educated guess just based off this timing and this timing. It's probably related, so that IV is increasing there. I would probably lean buys on these, but again, over the weekend, a lot can happen, and it sounds like Trump will be speaking after close as well. So, risk on. Risk on, risk off, and that's when you have headlines that move the markets, it doesn't always make trading the best, but makes it good when you're long puts and people open their mouth. But let's see here. So 1031 the TEM 80 puts. So let's take a peek at these. So okay, flatter premiums on the day here. How do we look the past 7? So a lot of call premium we ran already from that. Calls outflow today. A lot of put volume today. So another good example here actually. So I'm just looking at that IV. So this is where our flow starts to come in. So big spike in the IV. 813. So small drop there. It's only one contract, so that doesn't really concern me. Pops, IV drops again, smaller volume there. Then your IV rises again here, and then you start seeing that heavier spot and premium. I like these. So I like these. You're 18% out of the money with a little time. Do we overlap earnings? No, we do not. So this is something I'd look at possibly. When I see that flow coming in on Fridays, so I tend to like to wait till Monday to open it, get 2 days of theta to decay the contracts and get a little better entry, but kind of looks like we're starting to drop here a little bit. Both these XOM calls. This is almost more of a, okay, this is almost more of a mid-fill here. Obviously, you're going to overlap earnings. So like this is something that would go on my spotlight flow channel. We'll actually look at the flow here. So I don't have any flow to really go off of on here. It's almost a mid-fill. This probably actually would not even go in the spotlight channel because this is kind of junky there. I mean, this is, almost right in the middle. So something like that. When they're coming in a block like this, it's so hard to kind of read that stuff. You just don't have flow around it to go off of. And your premiums are just kind of all over the place too. You got a spike in net put and net call premium today. Volume's flat for both. Look at these Cisco's because these caught my attention when we were looking at that other flow. So right away I'm looking at that earnings. Obviously earnings season's coming up, so pay attention to that. This is overlapping your earnings here. So let's look. We got some volume on it already on the day and some open interest. So I just want to make sure what we're looking at. Okay, so spike in the put premium, call volumes dropping. Let's take a peek here. Actually, I want to just make sure. So, okay, a lot of that other volume just kind of retail. Let's take a peek here. So 32, so perfect piece of flow here. timing's all the same. That IV increases, especially on your size and premium spots here. So back to looking at this. So even though these aren't right at the ask, obviously you're 1 cent below the ask. Probably lean ask on these, and these look good here. And I do like to, let's pop this into the overview. Just kind of look at some gamma on it, see how that's looking. So gamma, the one thing, and again for those little newer, typically, not 100% of the time, but you'll see price catch up to gamma. So your price line is that yellow line. Your purple bars are the candles here. So gamma has been increasing. So I mean, you could see maybe a small little drop here, but I want to see if I can find. Actually, my perfect example for this is, I always pull it up because it always worked out in our favor. So back in like April, May, there's a really good trade idea that we had in here. It was FSL out our calls, and we were down here. So this is what I mean when I'm talking about price catching up to the gamma. So like here you can see prices diverged from this. So you're just chopping down along here, and it can take a while for it to happen. Obviously, this is all the way from March to May here, so that's 2 months. But you see all the positive gamma here. This is telling me, okay, well, market makers are exposing themselves to the upside. So I got a cough again here. Sorry, everyone. But back to this now. Sorry about that. When we're looking at that, so you can see how that price is diverged from the gamma. So this is telling me, okay, I'm seeing a lot of positive gamma here. Price will typically catch up to it, and it took about 2 months, but here you are, price comes up, you can see it's hitting the gamma highs. Then you see more positive gamma here on a dip. This is something I'm always looking for, and I'm going to kind of tie this back into SPY here as well, too, for the SPY puts. But you just see how we're finally hitting that high up here. I mean, price moved up really nice here. So now we're seeing kind of a lot of lower gamma. It's not negative gamma, so it's still bullish, I would say, but not as bullish as your price, as when your prices diverge from that gamma at the time here. So perfect example, and this is why I opened those long SPY puts and took some profit today, obviously. You look at SPY, all the negative gamma. I mean, you've had negative gamma since July in here. July, I mean, just a lot of negative gamma, and you can see how far prices diverge from that. And I mean, we're getting a little pullback here now, obviously, today, but typically, and a good example of this, again, is you see all that negative gamma back here, February into April. You just see where that price is kind of chopping here, and then you end up dropping and hitting that. So, good move there on that, but again, something to keep an eye on here. A lot of negative gamma. Price will end up probably catching up here at some point, and I mean, that would bring us back down to 600, and we do have, nope, I don't want to go on word. Okay. Fat fingers, it's Friday. Our first gap to fill here is down here, actually, about that 600, 603. So big candle, and I mean, that is a big candle today, too. Heavy volume. And even just kind of looking at our advancing, declining, I mean, this is a nasty day. So this is kind of why I'm always pushing, too, about don't chase the move. I mean, that's why I was taking SPY put, or my profits today. I can re-enter on a move up, which I'm expecting probably might not be today or Monday, but I mean, you're really beaten up here. I mean, this is a nasty sell-off. Nasty sell-off. And you will have dip buyers and short coverings. So, I mean, even on the Qs, that's a nasty move down. And the interesting thing here is your equal weight is, I mean, it's closer to the S&P 500, but I mean, tech is really dragging us down here, and Let's go take a peek. Yeah, Tech is your big loser on the day here. Staples are pretty flat. Utilities flat. Yeah, everything else just getting beat. And obviously the headlines could get headlines over the weekend, so something to watch. But yeah, a lot of red today, obviously led by Tech. All right, I heard a ding. Let's go take a peek. So Starbucks, small volume. I'm not a big fan of small volume on longer dated contracts. What are these? 18% out of the money. Yeah, and it comes in as a block here. So again, no flow to look around it, just to kind of read that. Anything below or at, or before or after there. Let's clean this up. Let's clean that up. Tesla, so 47.0. This is something that's interesting to me. So you're coming in over the ask here, but you are 24% out of the money here. This is something that maybe I'd look for a quick day trade. Oh, man, this cough. I'd probably look maybe for like a trend day trade type thing on something like this. Because, I mean, if you swing these over the weekend, you're going to get crushed by theta. I mean, 24% out of the money, unless something major happens with Tesla over the weekend, you're going to get crushed. So, I mean, like this, I would kind of use that as kind of maybe as a day trading scalp tool here. But, I mean, the flow looks good otherwise. You have that IV up here, and then you just see where that size and premium comes in. Spike in the IV looks good. And obviously matching that with your net put premiums here rising and your calls dropping. I would look for probably a 0-day trade on something like this. I would not want to swing these over the weekend. Netflix puts, again, smaller size, and you got earnings coming up on this. Let's take a peek. So I actually seeing call premium on Netflix here with puts being bid side. Let's see. So, okay, this flow does kind of look good right away. So your bid ask is kind of goofy already on this, but it's considering this a mid fill, even though the bid ask is 195. But IV spikes there. 398. We following this all the way up. So that looks good here. I want to look at this bid side. So the IV stays up. So that's where it's getting that bid side flow. So this is mostly at the ask here. So I would probably consider this good flow here. 21% out of the money. Just the only thing is the earnings here. So like this would go in that spotlight flow section where the flow looks good, but overlaps earnings, might be a little further out of the money. Let's see. Palantir put. Okay, clean opening trade. Just looking at that volume and open interest. I mean, right away. And this just comes with screen time. Just from looking at that main page here. Just you see that size, volume on the day against that open interest. Clean opening trade. A lot of put premium. 18% out of the money. Doesn't overlap earnings. Looks like it's all condensed in this little area here, so, okay. So it looks like we start coming in. So 77, okay, so, okay, we have a drop in that IV there. 77, 17, 23. I just don't like how that IV dropped when that flow started to come in there. So this is just kind of where I'm 18% out of the money. How we looking for the last 7 days? So not a lot of premiums here. Obviously, price came up and matched that there yesterday. Yeah, Palantir is kind of a tough one. This one doesn't usually stay down too long. If you made me pick, I'd probably say they're buys. I just don't like how that IV kind of decreased there in the beginning. So again, another one that would probably be in that spotlight flow. And that flow alert section will be flow that's tracked that I can 100% kind of identify as a buy or ask, which you're just reading the kind of the flow here. So it could be wrong. You never know what that whale's doing in a bigger picture. So these are interesting right here. 42 days. Again, overlaps earnings. There's going to be a lot of stuff that overlaps earnings now for a couple of weeks here. Massive spike in that put premium. 12% out of the money. 42 days. So I don't get any action around that flow. So look at that first candle here. Let's see here. Okay. So the IV is just kind of all over the place. So spikes there on the large size. Drops there. Then drops there. I don't like this flow. I do not like this flow. This may be sells at the ask. And again, with it overlapping earnings, it makes it a little difficult too. And we do have some previous open interest. So definitely not that same trader. Just lots of little retail people, it looks like. So yeah, like that could be something that's at the or a sell at the ask. Let's look at these run calls. So pretty much I'm telling you right now. So this is just screen time, just kind of glancing at that flow. And it takes time. I mean, it took me a while to learn this stuff too. But right away I see that spot bid ask. You're coming in right at the mid. A lot of volume on the day. A lot of open interest. Kind of smaller premium. A lot of call premium today here. I just want to see if that... When did all this start to come in? So back on 825. So I just want to see, and this is where kind of just paying attention to that open interest and volume is big, because you can't 100% tell what's what here versus some of that other flow where you can just clearly see that opening trade. So I would pass on these 7% out of the money weeklies. Yeah, I'd probably pass on that. I mean, you're getting killed today, too. 14 days. Yeah, probably pass on that. I mean, you see that big drop in that call premium. Obviously, that's attributing to today. Actually, it didn't actually drop off, technically. That call premium stayed up, and then you're just flat on the day here. So you're not seeing people really unwind their calls. That's interesting to me there. Let's look at some ETF stuff and see if we got anything good coming in here. So some longer term SMH calls, probably dip buyers here. So when I get a big chunk of flow like this, I typically already kind of assume that it's a buy just because you got a big chunk there. Different timings, but let's just kind of look. So you're 1% out of the money, 3, like 2, then 1 again. So like this flow, it's so small size too where it makes it tough. Like this flow looks good to me here. You just see how that IV spikes, well, and kind of drop here. So that's one contract, comes back up. As long as you're kind of seeing it on that bigger size and premium, it looks good. Just a lot here today. Just put volume and call volume. And usually when it's kind of mixed like that, I'll kind of tend to stay away from stuff like that just because it's, if I don't have a clear signal, move on to the next piece of flow. That's kind of how I do it. A lot of put premium here though today. I want to look at the tide here quick because you're saying that half hour, yeah, I mean, put volume just completely up, calls down, price down, put volume up. Tesla, Nvidia, Meta, AMD are losers here. Only small winners here are IWM and Oklo, and I want to look at IWM. So, okay, that is seeing positive net call premium here. I didn't even see how, down 2.5 today. Yeah, a lot of volume here on SPY. QQQ did not seeing a ton. So QQQ, this is our biggest volume day since 9/25 versus SPY where it was August 1st. God, that's a nasty candle today. Should have held my SPY puts a little bit longer. Oh well, profits are profits. Let's see. So XLC, small, and with ETFs, I kind of like seeing a heavier premium. I like at least probably 700,000. I do keep my premium lower just so I can kind of see other pieces. So like this QQQ, the 588s here. Now, if I had it only set at 600,000 for premium, I'm gonna miss all 4 of those. So that's why I keep my premium a little lower. But I like to see that like max number there, and obviously those moving on the day, but not posting those because we actually had QQQ puts from yesterday and massive pop on those. A lot of flow moved for us. Kind of take a peek. I mean, your PDD today, those 0 days, I tried to get filled on those. I couldn't get filled. By the time I posted that and the alerts, I couldn't even get back to it. Circle puts, obviously, big move on those intraday. The Eli Lilly calls. So again, knowing they're shorter dated, 9:55. I mean, you popped up here, hit 11, and you should have a stop on. I mean, you're coming down there. That's good enough to get some profits out of. Get a drink here quick. The BMRs. Oh, that guy took a loss. 322, 218. Yeah, he's probably out there. Stupid MicroStrategy calls. Looks like I'm guessing probably getting out here. Have to just see. I mean, that volume's up there today too. QQQ puts. Obviously, no, those are printing. FSLR calls. Those moved yesterday, and that whale did not carry those over. I mean, knowing they expire today, and you're up 132 to about 295, should be probably taking profits same day. RCAT. This one again interesting. I mean, 115, you moved up here, hit about 140. Looks like your whale's probably getting out here at 40. Good reasoning, but small little pop on those. And this is why I don't always follow the whales if they're still in a trade. You just never know that full spectrum of that trade they're doing. And they will take big losses too, like this. So that's why I'm always just telling people, manage your own risk, throw a stop on. I'm in at 115. Contracts are at 140. You're up 15, 20% there. That's bad math off the top of my head, but should have a stop on. I don't care if they're 100 days out. If you are seeing profits, and I like to at least see 10%, and I have something set at break even. The USARs, those things printed today. 250, I think 260 was the call out, and 814 today. Oklo, those things are up again today. I mean, massive ride on those things. SPY puts. And this is where it becomes difficult sometimes. Yeah, so purple stop sign. This is exactly what I kind of tell people too. I don't actually put a stop on. What I do is I don't want to unlock my account. Like if you're coming in here, so like let's see if it'll let me. Okay, perfect. So like let's say I'm in these puts at, let's just say, set 50 or so. So what I'm doing, I don't actually set the, it's going to be crappy here. So what I like to do essentially is I don't actually set the limit. I won't place the order. I just kind of manually watch it. So like if I know my stops at like 63, 64, I just come down here and usually it'll let you just kind of move it up by a penny here. It's not because I'm blocked, but like, okay, I know that SPY puts are at 63. I was filled at, let's just say 40 something. Let's set a stop here at like point 50, and then if I just see it kind of going up still, just kind of continuously pop that up. Well, it's gonna do a stupid one every time, but I mean, I just continuously kind of move it up that way. I don't actually set it and then unlock it and then set it again. I sit there and just manually kind of watch it, and I know for some people it's tough, but if without trailing stops, and even with the trailing stops, and I know Bruno, I was telling him about this yesterday, those spreads will get you, especially on something. I mean, like SPY, your spreads are always tight because there's a lot of liquidity there, but on something like, yeah, those stupid spreads, I mean, that's an issue. Let me do, let's just, I'm just trying to think. We'll do Oklo. I don't know how their spreads are. Let's see. So like these spread, okay, good example. So like, okay, let's say you got filled at 50 here and you put a limit stop of 45 here. Well, the bid's at 46. It's going to fill you as a loss, even though that contract is a lot higher. So that's kind of an issue with spreads there, and why I'm just the adjusting stops up manually. That's just kind of me watching that. Like you saw how that kind of flickered there from that 60 to 81. People put in different bids, people put in different asks, and it will fluctuate. So that's kind of why on those bigger spreads, I just kind of manually watch it, and I'll put in like a limit sell. Like, okay, I want to sell these. Okay, we're trading at 85 right now, and I'm in at 50. Okay, well, I'm going to pop this up to 0.75. I kind of go in the middle there, put a limit on, and then just place your order, and then that's kind of what I do on the wider spreads. But I don't actually set a limit there. Like maybe if I something like long term and I'm going to like on SPY where I know the spreads aren't horrible, but a lot of these spreads will typically, like even these, I mean like the shop ones, that's almost a 20 cent spread. So you're going to, I mean 30-cent spread. If somebody gets a lower bid, it's going to stop you out, which sucks because it's like the contracts are still up, but you get hurt with those spreads. So yeah, just kind of, well, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but what I do, just manually kind of watch it. And if it's a tighter spread like SPY, something like that, I mean, even Tesla, tighter spreads usually. So just kind of pay attention to that. It sucks when you get stopped out. I mean, like the Netflix puts here, like if you filled these at the 195 here and set a stop at like 160, it's going to trigger right away and you're going to be out. And it's like, that sucks because you know the contracts are up. So yeah, just that's just kind of a thing that comes in time, learning and all that. Like, okay, perfect example, these IREN puts that just came in. Big spread here. We'll take a peek at them. So you're already down 8% on the day. Probably not going to chase something like that, especially with IV elevated. That's when you kind of see those bid-ask spreads widen a little bit. But like you look at this flow, it reads as a buy right away. That IV's up. Your again, bid ask is a little wider. You're coming in at the ask, so that's just telling me that's aggression there, just because that gap or that bid ask is so wide. They're just coming in at the ask. They don't care what they're paying. They just want to get in those. So now, like as a retail trader, if I get in these, okay, well, I'm going to do everything right. I'm going to put a stop on. Let's just say $2 or $2.20. Well, you're going to probably get stopped out in a minute or two. Or if Iran, let's go over here. If Iran gets that, like even that little green candle there, you're going to probably get stopped out on that. Even though you're still in that trade. Yeah, like this little green candle is probably going to stop you out there. I do want to see. So the 1031.48 puts. 1031.48 puts. So yeah, I mean, you see how big that spread is there. You're going to get stopped on something like that on that green candle. So 281, what was their fill again? 241. So yeah, okay, there's your last fill there. So yeah, I mean, if somebody hits the bid and somebody fills it, you're going to get stopped out. That's one issue with the bigger spreads. You can always, let me come back here too. Like on something like this too, you don't have to exactly copy that whale contract. I like to copy that expiration date. I personally like going a little closer to the money too, but it's not on something like this where it's a $2 spread. But like, for example, let's say I wanted these Iran puts. Okay, well, I'm going to I know they're at least 21 days out, so let's look at the 28 days. In the money, I mean, you don't see a lot of liquidity on these chains either. So let's see, 35 days maybe. Yeah, not a lot of liquidity here. So I mean, I probably wouldn't trade this, but if I had to, that's still almost $1 spread. That sucks. Yeah, because you want to get that. You want to see more open interest on that contract, easier to get out. Otherwise, you get these big spreads that suck. Trying to see if there's one with some good liquidity. Okay, so the 42-day went out. That's a little better. I'd probably go with like the 50 put or something on here. 50. Spread's not as bad as the other ones where it's almost a $2 spread. And if you're trading multiple contracts, that is a bigger issue too. Because instead of getting filled at 5, or if you fill at 565 here and that bid ask is 510, you're going to be down 50 cents a contract. And if you have 10 contracts, then do the math. You do the math and you're down not a good amount right away. Well, we're really selling off into close now. Yeah, see, like this is why I wouldn't want to chase puts into Monday. I mean, you're getting beat up really bad today. Really bad today. You don't want to become a big holder. So shot puts, let's see. So again, another massive bid ask spread here. So I don't even waste my time and look at something like this and you overlap earnings. Let's look at these Jobies. So okay, a little closer there. My bias is a lot down still. It's probably the start of it, but with a move this big and this fast that same day, I'm not calling out calls because a lot can happen over the weekend, but come back Wednesday and I bet you anything will probably be back at the 660s. Because you're going to have, I mean, you're coming into support right here, too, on the daily. And let me actually pop this out to the 4-hour. You can see clear support here. Bounce, bounce, bounce. Might have a relief bounce. You have shorts that cover. You have earnings season coming up, too, which is another big factor. I know you weren't in here when we started, Bruno, but yeah, earnings season coming up is going to be big. And I'm just looking at that 4-hour candle here. Look at that decrease in that volume from that first one. It's mark this down. So yeah, you see that volume starting to kind of tail off here too. So that's kind of telling me maybe sellers are starting to lighten up a little bit. Let's pop it to the 30. Yeah, I mean, there was aggressive selling here when the announcement came out about the tariffs, but you just see that kind of declining here a little bit. So that's telling me could be letting off the gas. So a little volume here, but is this on the buy candle? Yeah. So double bottom here on the 5-minute on the support. Something to watch there. Yeah, this is where you're getting your volume on that buys there. I mean, that's 891,000 there, and then one. So I mean, you're almost at 2 million volume just on those two little 1-minute candles there. So yeah, interesting to see. I mean, I would come back and check this. Let's see. If it wasn't earnings season coming up, I would probably say I would probably look for a dip buy. But financials start coming in on Tuesday, and if they disappoint, the market is not going to like that heading into mega caps. And we do have CPI next week, which I think they said that's coming out Friday, so I'm going to have to adjust something on that. I think, let's see. I wonder if they updated this, because it was technically scheduled for Wednesday, but I think it's coming out Friday. No. Where'd they move it? So is it still technically scheduled? Where did it go? I seen it on there earlier today when I did the stuff for next week. I don't see. It was on Wednesday. I swear it was on Wednesday. PPI. Well, it's getting released next week. The BLS said they're going to release it even with the government shutdown. So I'm pretty sure it was Wednesday. Let's see. How about we do this? Let's see. CPI. Oh. Well, okay. Well, apparently it's moved again, but then, okay. Come out October 24th. Okay. Okay, well, it's not next week, so that's why. Okay, Nick, I trust his, so okay. Perfect. Alright, well, I'll have to adjust that in the weekly releases. So, okay. And that's right before FOMC, to think that is on the 18 days from now. So the 29th, so 5 days before. We're sitting at an E still, 96% chance. It's probably cut by a quarter point again. See what else we got coming in. Here's a lot of volume already on these. Yeah, you're not chasing this up here. Especially after that big, and it's 70% multi-leg pass. Again, wider spread, you're going to have a lot of flow overlapping earnings. And if you like the flow, I mean, 98 days, I'm waiting for a discounted entry. That's almost a mid-fill on the Pfizer call. A lot of call volume today, though, and that call premium's picking up here. So big spike there back on the 8th. Just don't like them being weeklies. You got time, I'd probably go a couple weeks out on calls with this. See how that flow looks, though. So this is technically ask side flow. So, okay, 32. So, okay, IV spikes. I like that right away. 364. So, you're coming in with the ask. Where is it giving me that weird bid fill? Okay, right here. So, okay, it's probably at the ask, technically. You're just getting that higher bid ask spread there, that ask is kind of going up with a lot of that size and volume coming in. And you don't have any... Oh no, there's a lot of open interest already. Let's just take a peek. Alright, well, I will retract my statement. It's 99% sure it's opening flow, but you just have that other flow here. And for me, if I'm calling it out for people, I need to 100% be certain that it's opening flow, but 99% sure I would say this is opening flow. You just have that other flow before it, though, so when you're giving call outs, you got to be a little more cautious. Apple puts. Okay, a lot of volume already on these, but this looks like a lot of, let's see, 7%, 14 days, doesn't overlap earnings. This I would probably consider opening flow just right away. I mean, you got a lot of little candles here. Let's see, yeah, definitely opening. At least this candle, 1500. So, okay, Ivy spikes. Coming in at the ask. So I like that flow. Those apple puts look good. The only thing I would caution about this, though, you do have a lot of that intraday flow. Again, one where I could probably say 99% sure this is probably opening flow. I would probably double check that open interest on Monday, and again, you get that theta discount there as well, and see if we get a small pop on Monday. LNG, crappy spreads there. I think coming ETF wise. More puts on the QQQ and SPY puts. These things just wild. I mean, 55 up to, yeah, I was in the MSTR calls, and then the headlines came out, and I was like, time to get out of the MSTR calls. Yeah, a lot of people probably got hurt today. Oh, and it's starting to kind of bounce up there a little bit off that support. Yeah, that's another thing too. Sometimes if that price falls very quickly, it will not trigger a stop, which is stupid, but it's just how the brokers are set up. Sometimes I've had that happen too, where it's like you're in a trade and you come back and look and you're down a lot more than you figured you would be, but that's why I kind of, if I'm in a trade, especially something short term like those SPY puts, I'm long term on those. I don't really care intraday about those. I'm not really watching those. But like something, if it's like a weekly or 2 weeks out, I'm watching those contracts. I'm manually watching those contracts. I am not getting clapped. Or another thing you can do is, depending on your broker, like if you have actually this might be a good thing to do. Like let's say you're setting a limit or a stop limit, whatever you want to setting. I would set, you can always set, I mean, Webull, I don't know what broker you use and how they have set up, but Webull, like if I'm seeing, like if I want to know that price is below a certain support level, like let's say I was looking at SPY calls here at this level, I would probably put a alert there, set the alert there, so then if I'm below that, yeah, I don't believe Webull has a conditional order, so I'm not super familiar with the fundamentals on how that works. I know Simulation was talking to you a little bit about it yesterday. I know she uses a lot of that stuff as well too. She's probably a good person to talk to about the conditional order stuff. Maybe I'm just sitting in here manually kind of looking and then just setting a limit sell or a quick limit stop. Yeah, she's good with the kind of the more like technical aspects of like brokers and stuff. I'm just sitting here just I'm gonna adjust my stop up like this because Webull sucks and they don't have trailing stops, and even on the bigger spreads you probably don't want a trailing stop just with a lot of that those wider spreads. Now again, if it's a tighter spread, perfect, go for it. But yeah, sometimes you'll see that flow not actually hit there on a stop, which sucks. It's when you want to go and complain to the broker and they're just like, oh, well, sorry. All right, what do we got here coming into close? What are we doing? Back down to support here. Massive volume day. %3 on the Qs. Yeah, see, I would almost, even if I was going to do a small little lotto play, I just want to look out. Let's look 10 days out. Oops. If I was looking 10 days out, I'd go with those. Well, that's a little low liquidity. Let's do weeklies or 7 days out. If I was going to do a lotto for 7 days, so next Friday, I would almost grab those 665s. A lot of liquidity, a lot of open interest. These had a high today of 1105. That would be a good little lotto play there. I kind of like that. A little cheaper contract here. Your theta is 36 a day, so you lose $70 over that over the weekend, but your delta 26. And usually I like that 3-to-1 delta, but if it's a lotto, not a big deal. I mean, if you're actually looking for a good, fundamentally good contract, I'd go closer to the money like the 660s, where you have that 3-to-1, or, well, SPY always has high theta on it. The closer you get to the money, the higher the theta for SPY. But, I mean, you're going to, every dollar that ticker moves or SPY moves, you're going to get $50 per contract. And then, I mean, you're only losing $100 on that over the weekend if SPY stayed at this level. But I have a feeling Monday or Tuesday, you could see a small little dip by here. I mean, you are getting blasted here. But again, that's kind of, it would be something that's a lotto there where you got to hope nothing, no headlines come out over the weekend and all that. But that is a nasty red candle today. Nasty candle. And you broke that support there too. And if I'm taking a contract too, because you can trade SPY and QQQ up to 15 minutes after the bell, I'm waiting until after the bell to get that. So that kind of heavy selling drops off there. That is a nasty move today. That's just nasty. Trying to look at that volume over the last 15. Yeah, that's a lot of selling in that 15-minute candle. I mean, outweighed that buying about the same, actually. Big buy, and then... Oof, I said I wanted to see 660 today. I'm about to get 650. I'm mad at myself for... I had a stop on my SPY puts up here, and this thing took me out. I'm sick now looking at this, but that's fine. That's fine. There'll always be another trade. That's the thing. That's the thing. Coin puts again. Is that Tide looking? Yeah, I mean, you're just all put premium here now. And just kind of looking at this on a larger scale too. Your biggest day of put premium here in the last at least 30 days. Yeah, this is your largest day of put premium here since at least August 29th, and this is as far as it goes back. I mean, your call's just dying off here. see how we finish here. Yeah, nasty finish. Imagine getting in 0 days at the more at open though. I mean, see that 660 low of 1 on the day. What do we open at here on SPY today? I'm got that Friday brain now. So 673. You get in those 673s at open 46 to that's just insane. Just insane move today. Good move today. But yeah, I mean, just kind of like I was saying too, my bias is down for a little bit, obviously coming off all-time highs, but after a move like this, you will probably see dip buyers at some point, short coverings as well, but still the market finishes here, yeah. Good move today, though. VIX up 30% on the day. And that was actually down, too, when we first started dropping a little bit. I mean, look at that move on the VIX. That's... Whew. We'll probably see... Might see that day. I mean, again, if you're looking for a lotto, probably look at those 7-day outs. I like those 665s. I can't do it though. Can't do it. I can't do a lotto. And a good finish though today, especially for the Bears. Been waiting for this for a while. And it just puts coming in, just nonstop. See if we get any movement into close here. Got about a minute left. Yeah, pretty nice red day though. I mean, strong volume, strong. And that candle, I mean, just Tesla. Yeah, I actually want to go back and look at those Teslas that we were looking at. I don't know if you were in here yet or not, but like the no, let's see. These guys that came above the ask, I said these would be a good like trend if you're going to take it. I mean, you see we're still falling. They didn't really move that much. I mean, it's being so far out of the money. Yeah, I didn't even look at Tesla anymore today. Down 5%. Yeah, you got your first gap here. Gap to fill here at 396.80, so can see a little bit more room there, but that was a adventurous day. But all right, everybody, I'm gonna hop off here. Thanks for hanging out in the live, and then I'll have the flow recap up. I'll have the replay of the live up as well. So have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll get back to it next week.